Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the kitchen. We are back for another episode of Cork and Board, pairing good food with good wine tonight. The grilling season continues, even though it is raining a little bit outside. Thankfully, we are under a cover. We are going to be having a grilled venison roast. And when I think about venison, my mind takes me back to when I was a teenager. I went on a French exchange, and my exchange family took me hunting, and I got the chance to have some wild boar. And that was honestly some of the best tasting meat I've ever had. The French really know how to cook game meat, and it really opened my eyes to just how much more flavor the game meat adds compared to farm-raised meat. And to this day, when I think about game meat, I still think about French wine to go with it. And specifically, I like to think about the Bordeaux region, which has a Cabernet Sauvignon base that is often softened with Merlot. So, to go with our venison tonight, we have the Chateau de Ribébon. It is a Bordeaux Supérieur. It's a little young, it's only a 2016, but I have more of these down the cellar. We are going to see how this ages over the coming years. We'll see how it tastes today. Thank you guys all for coming along. Don't forget to pour over that subscribe button if you like what you're seeing, and let's get cooking. Now this is wild venison, and I really want the natural flavors of the meat to shine through, so we're going to go very light on the seasoning. Start with just a brushing of some light tasting olive oil to get nice and coating so that everything sticks before moving into some sea salt. I want to use sea salt, not table salt, because that will prevent the chemically taste. Add some pepper and then a light little seasoning of garlic, onion, and ginger powder with a little bit of dried thyme. Get that on both sides. Now, what is a roast without vegetables and potatoes with it? So we're going to make some roasted veg. I'm going to start with an onion. Now, for this central section, you can just put those straight in to your bowl. They're large enough as is. Add in some quartered mushrooms before moving on to your peppers. I like to use a mixture of both red and green for a nice balance of color without compromising on taste. We are then going to move into adding some zucchini and finally a little bit of broccoli. Now, these are going to be ready for the grill. Add a generous amount of olive oil because the broccoli will just sop it up before adding in a little bit of sea salt and some more pepper. Lastly, we're going to add in about a tablespoon of minced garlic and then toss everything together. Mix your vegetables together now that they're covered in all of your different ingredients, and then move on to your potatoes. I'm using baby potatoes for this. They're nice and bite-sized for people. Just have the ones that seem a little bit big. Add in a little bit of light seasoning of salt and any other herbs you want before transferring everything to the grill. Your potatoes and vegetables will take longer, so put those on first, give them a nice mix, and then let the barbecue get up to temperature well covered, and you've now got a moment to open up your wine and enjoy a lovely glass by the grill. The vegetables and the potatoes are on the grill. Time for my little bit tradition of having a sip of wine before the meat goes on and getting things going, so we're going to have that first taste right now. That's actually quite nice. There is a wonderful body to this. It's not overbearing, it's not fully heavy like a pure Cab Sauvignon or even, for that matter, a Merlot, despite the fact that a Bordeaux is typically made with Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot grapes. So I'm going to have to check on what exactly this wine is made out of. But all things said, it's got a very delicate taste to it. It's going to pair well with the more intense flavors of the venison, I think, but at the same time, it's not going to overpower them. It's going to let them shine through and give us an excellent pairing. Now let's finish up and get this meat on the grill. Now, the objective with a shoulder roast like this is going to be to cook the meat low and slow. Over the course of the next half hour, it's going to be on low heat and being flipped frequently. After about a minute is our first flip, where we're going to see some nice light grill marks, and that's going to get things started. Now, when it comes to checking how well done your meat is, there's a nice little trick without cutting in. Simply poke the meat with your finger and then compare it to the ball of your thumb. Based on which finger your thumb is in contact with, it'll be more or less done. Take it off of the heat and let it sit for a few minutes before carving, and once that's done, everything is ready to serve. Alright, the food's all finally done. Let's get a nice taste of that venison. It's a little overdone. There's just a little bit too much well doneness in there, but it's nothing to be worried about. I'm thankful that this particular roast had that layer of fat over the top of it than you might have seen in the footage. That's given this a lovely spot for any flavors to really nestle in and become permanent. I've got a little bit of the char from the barbecue. I've got that little bit from the spices, but I'm also really getting that sense from the meat itself. It's coming through very nicely, and I get all these wonderful, wonderful little subtleties in this meat. Now, let's see how the wine tastes after that. There's a wonderful subtlety to this pairing. There's the flavors from the deer meat, there's just that little hint from the spicing, and then you've got the subtle fruitiness and just a little bit of acidity from the Bordeaux wine. Like I said, this Bordeaux wine is a little bit lighter flavored than I am used to. I looked it up, it is still a Bordeaux blend, which means it is Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot mostly, but there's also a little bit of Cabernet Franc and some other grapes as well. Excellent wine, can't complain about it. What about these vegetables? The potatoes were done perfectly. Simple, honest, nothing to be wrong there. The starchiness from the potatoes is really letting the fruitiness from the wine really come to the forefront. I'm not getting any of that acidity. I'm not getting a lot of the subtleties that I had before. The potato is actually quite strong in here. But overall, I'm really enjoying this. The wine, again, is maybe a little young, but I've still got a few more bottles of this in my cellar. We'll see how this looks in a couple of years. Thanks, guys, for joining along for Cork and Board. Have you guys a wonderful evening, and thank you so much for joining us. Take care.